Winter's final fury unleashed? Weather update: American cities number 148. A massive train of winter storms is barreling across the country, promising a brutal return to winter for some and a dangerous round of severe weather for others. We're talking about a wild mix of threats, from feet of snow to damaging winds and tornadoes. The first system is already causing major headaches from the Midwest all the way to the Northeast. For some folks near Minnesota's North Shore, this storm could dump over 3 feet of snow. That's an incredible amount from a single weather event. Even areas further east won't be spared. A wide path of at least 3 inches of fresh snow is expected to stretch clear across to the Atlantic coast. But believe it or not, what's coming next could be even more intense, so don't put those shovels away yet. An even larger and more complex storm is gearing up to trek across the nation from Thursday into Saturday. This beast won't just bring up to a foot of snow to places like Wisconsin and Michigan. It's also packing a much more dangerous punch on its warmer side. This second storm introduces a serious risk of severe weather across the Midwest and into the Ohio Valley. We're on high alert for damaging straight-line winds and yes, even a few tornadoes. It's a dangerous and unseasonable setup we need to watch. And just when you think it's over, the pattern refuses to let up. A swift and shocking return to harsh winter conditions is expected this weekend. A fast-moving Arctic blast will send temperatures plummeting, creating a potential flash freeze in many areas. Some spots that have been enjoying the spring-like preview are about to get a rude awakening. On top of that, we're tracking the potential for a major nor'easter-style winter storm for the Northeast this weekend. So let's break down this wild week. We have a ton to cover, so let's dive right into the biggest threats. The main event to watch is tomorrow, Thursday, which is shaping up to be a chaotic day with a clash of seasons playing out across the middle of the country, bringing both blizzards and storms. Let's first focus on that severe weather threat for Thursday. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a slight risk, which is a level 2 out of 5, for parts of Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. This is a serious situation for millions of people. If you live in or near Cincinnati, Indianapolis, or Louisville, Thursday is a day to be extremely vigilant and stay plugged into weather updates. The main threats we're looking at are destructive winds, large hail, and even the possibility of a few tornadoes. In fact, a specific 5% tornado risk is in place for a corridor stretching across parts of Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. This highlights the area with the greatest potential to see a couple of tornadoes touch down during the afternoon and early evening hours. Seriously, please take a moment today to go over your tornado safety plan with your family. Know where you'll go if a warning is issued for your area tomorrow. Being prepared ahead of time is absolutely critical and can make all the difference when seconds count. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty timeline of how this all unfolds. We'll start with what's happening right now. A potent winter storm is currently hammering the northern plains and the upper Midwest with heavy, wet snow, making travel a nightmare. The absolute heaviest bands of that snow are falling right now over northern Wisconsin and northern Minnesota. In some isolated spots, we are genuinely anticipating snowfall totals to pile up to 1 or even 2 feet. It's a truly massive snowstorm for them. Meanwhile, out west, another storm system is climbing its way over the Rocky Mountains. This is the system that will become the catalyst for our severe weather threat on Thursday and will also be the source for another round of snow across the Midwest. This next storm system will track a bit further to the south than the current one. That means that areas that missed out on the first round of snow could get their turn on Thursday, while southern regions get rocked by the dangerous thunderstorms. As we move through Wednesday afternoon and into the evening, the big storm system over the upper Midwest and Northeast will begin to weaken and lose some of its punch. However, it won't be completely gone, as some lingering light snow is still expected. Parts of New England and New York will see some light snowfall late tonight and into the early hours of Thursday. The Rockies will continue to see snow accumulate, and then our attention shifts to the Central Plains for Thursday morning's main event. This is when a brand new storm system will begin to organize and rapidly intensify over the plains. While its central pressure won't be as impressively low, it will be a dynamic system, capable of producing both severe weather and significant snowfall. On the storm's eastern flank, warm, moist air will surge north, creating the fuel for severe thunderstorms. On its colder, western and northern sides, moderate to heavy snow will break out across Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, and into Wisconsin. By Thursday afternoon, the entire system will be chugging eastward towards Chicago. This is prime time, when we'll be watching for severe storms to erupt across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and down into the Tennessee Valley. It's going to be a turbulent afternoon. Simultaneously, the snowfall will become much heavier and more widespread late Thursday night and into early Friday morning. A band of intense snow is expected to develop across Wisconsin, impacting cities like Wausau and areas just east of Minneapolis. On Friday, the action shifts. Showers and thunderstorms will continue all up and down the East Coast. And believe it or not, yet another storm system will be making its way over the Rockies. This pattern is just relentless, with no sign of a real break. This third system will likely struggle a bit more. There won't be as much rich moisture for it to work with, and the atmospheric conditions over the plains won't be as favorable for it to strengthen. A powerful Arctic air mass will also be in play. This Arctic air will try to spill out of Canada at the same time, complicating the forecast. The storm may not survive the trip, but it could still be potent enough to squeeze out some light snow showers across parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and northern Arkansas. On Saturday morning, that storm system will continue moving east, bringing some light snow to the northeast, while the southeast sees more showers and maybe a few thunderstorms. The threat for any organized severe weather on Saturday remains very uncertain. Now we get to Sunday and Monday, where things get really tricky. The forecast becomes highly uncertain depending on how this whole mess of energy evolves. There's a real possibility that parts of the Ohio Valley and Northeast see a major snow event. This could happen late Sunday into early Monday as a new, intense storm system tries to develop just off the East Coast. The European forecast model isn't too impressed with this setup and keeps it relatively weak, which would mean minor impacts for the coast. However, the American GFS model is telling a completely different and much more alarming story. It shows this storm rapidly intensifying, potentially becoming a bomb cyclone as we head into Monday. This scenario would mean a powerful nor'easter is possible. But, and this is a huge but, the GFS model currently keeps the storm center just a bit too far offshore. For a blockbuster snowstorm to happen in the big I-95 cities, we would need to see that track shift west, and the storm to maintain that intensity. So, while a monster storm could happen, it is far from a sure thing right now. This is a high-stakes forecast we'll be watching with extreme care. The potential is there, but the outcome is still very much up in the air. Stay tuned as we track this closely. One thing that gives this threat more credibility is that the official Weather Prediction Center has outlined coastal regions from Boston, Massachusetts, all the way down to Washington, D.C., and a heavy snow risk for that Monday timeframe. This is significant. So this isn't just one or two models going wild. It's a legitimate threat that we have to monitor. If this storm does track closer to the coast and intensifies as some models suggest, we could be looking at feet of snow in some of our nation's biggest cities. It's truly rare to see a storm setup this dangerous in terms of severe weather during the month of February. The key ingredients are unseasonably warm temperatures clashing with dew points that are high enough to fuel some pretty nasty thunderstorms tomorrow. Dew points, which measure the moisture in the air, are forecast to be in the mid to upper 50s and even low 60s. That is more than enough juice to create an environment supportive of severe weather, including the potential for a few tornadoes. But this severe weather outbreak is not a complete guarantee, as there are a few fail modes that could limit the overall threat. One major factor is if those dew points don't get high enough. If they stay below 55 degrees, the tornado risk drops significantly. If the air is too dry, storms will struggle to stay rooted to the ground, meaning tornadoes will be much harder to form, even with strong wind shear in place. The atmosphere could also lack enough instability, or the storm mode could just be a disorganized mess. Let's walk through the timing of tomorrow's severe threat. Around lunchtime, we expect a cluster of storms to be ongoing near St. Louis. These will primarily be hail producers, and the tornado risk with this initial activity should remain quite low. Things get much more interesting as we get closer to 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is when the moisture from the south really surges northward and temperatures climb, adding more fuel and instability to the atmosphere for storms to tap into. This should allow some of the storms in that cluster to become what we call surface-based, meaning they are connected to the unstable air at the ground. This dramatically increases the potential for a couple of tornadoes to spin up within these storms. By 4 o'clock to 5 p.m., the storms will become more widespread. But the area I'm watching most closely is actually just to the west of that initial line of storms. It's a bit of a conditional threat, but it's the one with the highest potential for trouble. If the atmosphere can recover and become unstable enough behind that first round of rain-cooled air, we could see a few individual supercells fire up east of St. Louis. If that scenario unfolds, the likelihood of tornadoes will go up considerably tomorrow. If that doesn't happen, we'll likely just see a messy, sprawling area of showers and thunderstorms. In that case, the overall threat would be lower, but we would still have to watch for a localized, isolated tornado or two embedded within the line of storms. As we head into the evening hours, this cluster of thunderstorms will continue to live to the north and east, tracking towards Columbus and just north of Cincinnati. A localized tornado threat will persist across southern Indiana and southwest Ohio until about 9 p.m. After about midnight, the severe threat should really start to wind down. The atmosphere will stabilize, and things will become much more of a widespread rain event. We'll just be talking about heavy rain and gusty winds, not organized severe weather. By Friday morning, we'll have a long trailing plume of moisture with showers and storms stretching all the way from Louisiana up to New York. At the same time, heavy snow will be absolutely pummeling Wisconsin, Iowa, and parts of Michigan. Travel in these snowy areas will be significantly impacted, perhaps even impossible at times. With heavy snow and strong winds combining, near-blizzard conditions are certainly possible, leading to dangerous whiteouts on the roads for the Friday morning commute. Looking at total snowfall over the next week or so, the overwhelming majority of the snow is expected to fall across the northern plains, the Midwest, and the Northeast. Winter is definitely focusing its energy on the northern tier of the United States for now. But what's happening in the upper Midwest right now is just stunning. Over the next day or two, areas near Duluth and in far northeastern Minnesota could see 2 to 3 feet of snow. That is a historic amount of snow from a single winter storm event. Then, as we look at the snow from the second storm system on Thursday and Friday, we are anticipating a widespread swath of at least a few inches of accumulation. This includes northwestern Iowa, eastern Nebraska, and stretching toward Minneapolis and northern Wisconsin. Most of these areas will be on the table for a solid 2 to 5 inches of snow. Some localized spots, especially near Minneapolis and in northern Wisconsin, could easily see higher totals than that. The models may even be underestimating this a little bit. Beyond that, the snow forecast gets much fuzzier. I know the map shows a widespread area of snow around Sunday and Monday across the Midwest, but please know that this part of the forecast is a massive question mark for right now. We are watching it very closely. And the temperatures? They are about to go on a wild ride over the next 5 to 7 days. It's a true roller coaster. For now, it's unseasonably warm east of the Rockies, while the West remains locked in below-average temperatures. A classic pattern clash, but look up north. A formidable mass of Arctic air is building up across the Pacific Northwest and deep into Canada. This is the cold that is getting ready to make a move. A piece of it will try to sneak into the Midwest and northern plains on Friday and Saturday. That first push of cold won't have a lot of success getting very far south. So the true return to winter conditions will mostly be felt across the northern tier of the country initially. But the main event, the big plunge, is scheduled for a little bit later. That's when it all swings around. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday are when a completely different pattern takes hold. A low-pressure system over the Great Lakes will drag that Arctic air deep into the country, causing temperatures to crash by as much as 40 degrees. And that's not all. By the middle and end of next week, we could see yet another reinforcing shot of Arctic air dive into the Midwest and the Northeast. That blast could also be quite impactful and could bring the chance for snowfall further south. Things are going to remain very active. Winter is most certainly not over yet. If you've been hoping for more snow, I think your chances are looking pretty good as we head toward the end of February and the beginning of March. Get ready for a dramatic finish. This temperature whiplash is just downright crazy. Today, we're talking about 60s and 70s reaching as far north as Chicago, Illinois. Meanwhile, South Texas is baking in the 80s and 90s. This is just unbelievable warmth for this time of year across the board. Tomorrow afternoon will be equally warm across the Ohio Valley, with widespread temperatures in the 60s and 70s providing the fuel for those severe storms. But by Friday and Saturday, we will snap right back to reality. Winter weather makes its grand return. Temperatures will once again plunge below the freezing mark for millions. I think Monday and Tuesday morning will end up being the coldest days of the week across a vast portion of the country. The chill will be widespread, from the Midwest deep into the South. Low temperatures all across the Ohio Valley and back into the southeast will drop well into the 30s, so a word of advice. If you're thinking about planting anything in Georgia or Alabama, please do not do it yet. A freeze is coming your way very soon. The same goes for Tuesday morning. Many areas, even as far south as parts of Florida, will get right around or just below the freezing mark. Be sure you're taking steps to protect any sensitive plants or vegetation from this incoming blast of Arctic air.